Okay, page Ein
We
Hey.
have L'chaim to say?
Behind? Totally. Okay, page Ein Hey. What?
On coffee, cup of coffee.
I'm still drunk from last night. Okay. Okay. So he says here, page Ein Hey. Remember, he bought the last Yaakov, but that in order to take Eden out of Mitzrayim, out of Golos Mitzrayim, out of Klipas Eges, he need healing from Mile. Sure, I'm not a shiur but 10, 12 lines from the bottom. With Zer Shomer Razal, so now he has an interesting shot in the Maimer Razal. He got earlier the Maimer Razal. ועברתי בארץ מצרים בלילה ההוא, וכי זה כל חייב מצרים, וכי בכל מצרים עשר שפוטים אני הוויה. So remember, it says in that God there, ועברתי בארץ מצרים, אני בלי מלך, וכי זה כל חייב, ואני בלי סוף. חלק מצרים עשר שפוטים, אני בלי שליח. אני השם, אני הוא ולא אף. So earlier he bought the Lashon, אני הוא ואני ולא אף, אני הוא ולא אף. But here he says, what is the pshat in לא מלך, לא סוף, לא שליח? זהו שמזל לא יודע מלך סוף השליח. שהן בחינס בייה. It's a new way of understanding. A new pshat. That malach shliach, I mean, that says in Kabbalah, but the way in our context, that malach sof shliach, the three madrigas and malachim, which is, I think it's Milmatel. The malach is a seer. Sof is bria. Shliach is I'm sorry. Malach is a seer. Sof is itzir. Shliach is bria. So they loyally they malach because the gilui above it. Not only that, k'moikin p'nis avoda atzilus niko malach elikim shluchim. Even atzilus, even Abba Beimed atzilus, Chachma Bina, which is the source of atzilus, are also called shluchim. K'mo shekos amer shluchim p'nis atzilus. K'mo shekos amer there's a in Ma'ir, like I mentioned 2 times, the Sefer Ma'ir, which is this encyclopedia of Kabbalah, written by Nosson Shapira. There's a few people with that name, Nosson Shapira, but one of them brought this book, Ma'ir. And here in the encyclopedia, Shliach, he writes, Avon Nikoim Shluchim Knasatik. Do you remember earlier in the Sefer, there was a whole, it was my
Me'oire is the Nosson Shapira, Megala Mukes is the Nosson Shapira.
Yeah, sure. It's a different Nosson Shapira. I tell you, it's more than one. There's more than one. So
Nosson Shapira is Me'oire or Megala Mukes?
More than one. There's 2 people with that name. Okay, I want to look it up. I'll look it up. 1 second. There's more than one person with the same name.
But Meore still exists, no?
What? Yeah. Galamokis also still exists. 1 second.
Okay, you can get the Sefer today.
Why not?
No, I'm saying, asking.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I know Ben Ish Chai brings a lot from Meore, a lot.
What?
Ben Ish Chai brings a lot from Meore.
Yeah, 1 second. You know what? 1 second. Let's see what it says here. So you know what? I made a mistake. Ma'ir is really. I'm sorry. So I made a mistake. Ma'ir is written by 2. It has 2 parts. One part is called Ma'ir. One part is called Ma'ir. One part is called Yoyon Nesiv. And together it's really called Ma'ir Nosson. Why it's called Ma'ir Nosson? Because the book itself, Ma'ir, was written by Meir Papirush, Papirush. And the Ma'ir Nosson part was written by Reb Nosson Shapira. The Ma'ir Nosson was written by Reb Nosson Shapira. Okay, so I mean I was right. It was Nosson Shapira. It's a different Nosson Shapira. This guy is called Nosson Shapira Yerushalmi. Let me see. What about Megala Mukes?
Who wrote the Meore again? What was the first name?
The book itself was written by Meir Papirush.
Papyrus.
Papyrus, which is really an English way of saying there's in the books it's called papyrus, which is there's a modern way we say papyrus. I'll say something, but the so the Nosson Shapiro wrote part of his name he was from Yerushalayim. The Nosson Shapiro wrote Megal HaMukos, he was from Poland, from Krakow. Two different people with the same name. Let me see. Okay, I'll look up my papyrus now. Let's see. Poppers. That's what's funny. The way they write it in English, the name pap. We always say papyrus because in all the books it says pei aleph pei yud resh shin. But the English, the way they write it in English is poppers. Poppers. It's not. So that's really the Mechaber of Meir Nas, but he together with the Nosson Shapiro Yerushalmi. So that's an encyclopedia. Later on, Meir is an early encyclopedia of Kabbalah. His sources are Kisva Arizal and Zohar. But later on, in the time of Tzemach Tzedek Be'erech, there was Rabbi Yaakov Yolis. He wrote a book, Malay Elohim, which is a book in like a shtickl encyclopedia in Nigla. He also wrote a book, Kehilas Yaakov, which is also similar to Meir. The difference is that he brings much later sources also. He also brings Chassidish sources. So the Tzemach Tzedek brings the Meir like almost every page. But the Kehilas Yaakov was printed in the time of Rebbe Maharash, but right after it was printed, Maharash started bringing him a lot in the Rebbe Rashav. The Rebbe brings a lot of Kehilas Yaakov. It's like a later, more updated version. Let's give me a little background. So he says that Avo, Abba ve'im Chachma bina d'Atzilus are also called Shluchim. They're Shluchim of Atik. Remember earlier in this sefer, there was a whole thing. He copied a shtickle from the sefer. Which sefer was it? Avedas HaKodesh, sefer Avedas HaKodesh, which this is a Makubal. What's his name? What is the Avedas HaKodesh? Yes. So the Avedas HaKodesh. He wrote a whole pirush over the Pashas Kisis.
Meir ibn Gabbai?
Yeah, Meir is right. Meir ibn Gabbai. So the Avedas HaKodesh, he was before the Arizal. So he wrote the whole pshat dot Keilach Malach Elofanech that the Moshe Rabbeinu want the Gilui from a higher level. We learned it earlier. It was all copied. The Rebbe Hashab copied all a big piece out of Avedas HaKodesh. Now over there he says, "What is Malachi? Malachi Shliach." So over there we had the same concept that sometimes Malachi Shliach means Malchus HaMistabeshes B'Yah. Then Malchus D'Atzilus. Then he said Malachi means the same shtickle that it says now. That Malachi means Shluchim M'Chines Atik. That sometimes the spheres of Atzilus also got Shluchim. What's negate to us? It's negate Shliach. Loyal Yidei Shliach. That the Gilui of Mitzrayim was above Loyal Yidei Shliach, above the union of Shlichus, above the Shliach above the spheres of Atzilus. Ela HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chveido b'atzmo. There's Madei HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chveido b'atzmo, which is even above Atzilus. Now the Chagam says, it's also Lashon, the Rebbe quotes in the Agoda. If you look in the Agoda, the Rebbe's Agoda, on the Lashon, Ela HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chveido b'atzmo, so the Rebbe quotes a mime of Rebbe Rashab, not this, I don't think not this mime, because this expression says in the mime in the Rebbe Rashab in a few places. Kvoida plus Malchus, the Insof Commercial is not Simtzum, Atzmos is Atzmos itself is not Simtzum. The Atzmos is itself Shamargam plus Malchus then so. That's if you remember the Rebbe Sagoda and this lotion of the Agoda. Ela Kajbach B'chayda V'atzmi quotes a mime of the Rebbe Rashab, I think he quotes of mime base. But it's in the Rebbe Rashab's memoir, this pshat is in a few places. The Kvoide Ba'atzmai means Malchus Dein Sof and Atzmos Dein Sof. So that's way above Atzilus. So that fits what we just explained earlier, that in order for the achieve Yitzias Mitzrayim, now Islam take the Eden out of the Mentes Shari Tumah, it wasn't enough the Giloi of Mamalik, which is the Biyah. And even Sever, which relatively speaking, Atzilus versus Biyah, since it's Sever. Later they shliach. Ela b'chveidu v'atzmai. Ani uvela achad ez madrega b'chveidu v'atzmai, which is Malchus Dein Sof and Atzmos Dein Sof. Sh'le Malgam T'fach Dein Sof. Kamaimo. See that concept of b'chveidu v'atzmai is similar to the expression that we also learned in the first Hamshach of this sefer. That says in the Rab Lezer, actually nivra elam hayahu shmoil bilvad. That, and it says in Kabbalah, it's actually Netzal Olam, that before before the Tzimtzum is Oyo Shmu Shmoi Bilvad. So basically, there are two madrigas, Hu and Shmoi. He says Hu and Shmoi are the same thing. B'chvoide v'atzmos. Shmoi is a place Malchus, Mishkol Meichot Chnes Atzmos. So Shmoi is the Malchus, and Hu that's Atzmos itself. Shezein b'chvoide v'atzmos. So what it says in Pirkei Lezer, Hu Shmoi is the same concept of b'chvoide v'atzmos. Zer gam ken inyan HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvoide v'atzmos. So similarly in our Agoda, what it says, that expression refers to the same two madrigas, Malchus Dein Sof and Atzmos Dein Sof. So, but this madriga says, "Vavati be'eretz Mitzrayim ani lemalach ani b'sof ani b'shliach ani ahuv alei acher shenimshach gam Mitzrayim erev v'soretz." That madriga of Atzmos is nimshach Mitzrayim erev v'soretz. In what way? Lo yem is a shemini keklach as a shalom. So earlier on the page, on top of the page, is talking about Eretz Sevev. Eretz Sevev misgala in express. It's not misgala. It expresses itself in our world. It can be a unique to klippus, to strache. It says in pasuk. We just where was it in where? It says Nafteira, Alekch Esav Yaakov no Hashem. So from a certain perspective, from the madrega of Sever, Och Esav Yaakov, Esav and Yaakov are equal because Esav can also get chayes. Why? Because that madrega that expresses the Eibishter is above it. He's above this whole difference. It's not significant to him. Like usually brings the pasuk Shmam is v'yadayim titofes v'ibei echlei melech. That even in a king's palace, you can find some insect. That because the Seira Sev is so much above anything that we can relate to, that's not significant. Really, you can give chayes to people also. So that's from the madrega of Sever. Mashing and madrega of Atzmos. There it says, like Rabbi Tachtel mentioned the first time. That's a deeper place. Doesn't allow anything that's against the Ratzon Hashem. Everything is it breaks the klippa.
But this thing, the Shemom is what does it indicate? So in Baruch news,
it indicates Chassidus uses that pasuk to prove that Be'echlei Melech that it can be an insect there, which is really like the klippas. Klippa can get highest from a sever. that because it's not significant, he's above anything, so he doesn't. It's not relevant to him to give highest to klippas also. That's what it indicates. That pasuk in Chassidus usually brings that pasuk.
Sure.
Okay. When the Gila of Atzmos is the madrigal of that madrigal of Pnimis of the Eibishter's ultimate expression, and from that madrigal, anything that contradicts him is destroyed. So this is also the concept of Makas Pcheres, because that pasuk, what does it say in that pasuk? The case you call Pcheres Be'eretz Mitzrayim. So that pasuk of Be'eretz Mitzrayim talks specifically about Makas Pcheres. What happened? Sheshviras haklipa kosher be'atzma. What is Pcheres? Pcheres Mitzrayim means the elite, the strength of Mitzrayim. So when you mark the Pcheres, means you destroy the strength. The klipa kosher be'yetzer, like I said earlier. Klipas eges, kosher. So now, to give it a better, elaborate on it from a different perspective. In the Pchinas Tzir Adam the Kedusha brings in the pasuk in Keheles. There's a pasuk in Keheles that says, let's look it up inside. Keheles, Perik Ches, pasuk Tes. Says like this. Oh, 1 second, open the pasuk. Ro'isi v'nosna libi, b'ayis asher nasa tachas hashemes, eis asher sholat ha'odam ba'odam l'ra'alo. So the simple pshat in pasuk is that in this world, the world we live in, tachas hashemesh, that one Adam can control the other Adam l'ra'alo. I mean, there's a few Pirushim Pshat I see here. Actually, Rashi. Okay, Rashi brings already the Chiddush Pshat, but the simple Pshat is that one person can control the other person in an evil way. So Chassidus Kabbalah uses this pasuk to describe that Shalat Adam B'Adam L'Ale means this is the effect. I don't know if it's called control. The effect that the Adam, so there's a concept called Adam Blial, which means the evil Adam, which is Klippa. So it's possible that's what he says now. Tzir Adam Kedusha Ksiv, and again to Pchinas Tzir Adam Kedusha. Adam Kedusha is, as we learned in other places, why it's called Adam. Tzir Adam is Olam HaAtzilus, because Olam HaAtzilus has 10 spheres. Adam El Elyon, just like that Adam, the human, like it says in Tanya, the Nefesh, the human experience compared to the spheres of Atzilus. The spheres of Atzilus are called Adam because it's a tzir, it's a shape, it's the form and a defined mode of expression, of revelation. Because it's tzir, there is Meichin, Midas, Maise, and one controls the other, one interacts with the other. That means Adam. So we talk about Adam Lamaila, Adam Ha'elyon. It says in Pasuk in the Makkos Yecheskel, well, Musa Kised Muskamar Adam Olav Milmala. What Madrega Elikus is it? It's the Madrega of Adam, which means the Eibeshter expresses himself to the tzir of the spheres. So Kabbalah says, Shalat Adam B'Adam L'Ra'ale, that the Adam that B'Liyah, the Adam of Klippa. Klippa also belonged to all Maimon and Teres. Matus describes the four elements in Klippa. So the Adam of Adam B'Liyah, which is the Adam of Klippa, is Shalat. It controls. Like I said, I'm not sure what controls. Maybe it's a little too radical, but it takes
rules.
what? Rules. Okay, rules. I see the Chaim in Parshas. Where is it? Chaim in. Where's the Chaim? Let's see. Chaim Pashas Vaychi uses that expression of Adam B'liyal. I mean, it's also used probably earlier. The Chassidus uses it, Kabbalah uses it. Adam B'liyal is the Koich of Klip. That so Yochel Yashlit Adam in the level of Adam, in that level of Kedusha, which is Siu Adam, be a Shlit al Adam B'liyal. Asher Sholat Adam B'Adam L'Rav. V'hu liyos v'zeh Pchinas Mitzumtzum, because the Madriga of Adam the Kedusha, Adam the Atzilus, is with Mitzumtzum. It's a limited oil, it's a contracted oil. That also mentioned on top of page on Hey. Chassidus in general, in this time, sometimes is Maram is a lot of things that we talks about the kids. There's a Chassidus in general, and I think it's out there, the Siddur and other places. It says, Remes kel bigoin of Cherev pipi is biyodom. That the Cherev, we say, the Cherev, the way the fight clippers, state peers. Chassidus says that the way the clippers get the highest from two ways. One is Mitzumtzum, that the oil limits itself so much, then so that's why the Cherev has to cut off that source, which in simple terms means that the person, like in Avodah, in the simple behavior, person limits his involvement to was a good marshal for that. We can bring a marshal from Rav Talmud also. The Rav, let's say a teacher, that's not a bad marshal. A teacher, let's say, wants to tell a student an idea, but the student doesn't get it. So he brings them a marshal. He brings it down, till it can happen that the wrong student will get the wrong message before. It's mitzumtum so much that it's makabel the opposite. Like it says, actually it says clear in Pirkei Avos. Shema Ishtat Talmidim Mayim Aloim. In other words, sometimes because the teacher wants to limit and contract his message to the student, so the student can relate to it. What we call it, he waters down the message so much that the student gets the wrong message. I mean, that actually happens in real life also. That you want to tell the person a message that he should do something right, but then because he's such a low state, so he say in such a way that he can misinterpret it and make the wrong thing. He'll say someone, look, it's very important to do something. But because he's not a kale, he'll do it the wrong way. He'll do it on the cheshbon of other things. And I think that's a fine marshal of the concept. That's one way. I just brought in the Chaga because earlier he said also that Seder was also mockers. Like that's the marshal, like that Shmam is the dime to tapas. So that's the lashon of Siddur. It was probably in. First of all, in my memory in Siddur, but on Shlish Mashal Hamita, also maybe in Vaychi, that there's two ways that clippers give highs. One is Mitzumtzum b'yis, and one is, like I said, Shmam is a dime to tapas. Because he's so removed, he doesn't leichpaslei. Ichpaslei, lashon medrash. Ichpaslei im shefet natzav min ha'er. It was a bar. So these two modes of Gila Likus, of Hamshachas Likus, can give highest to clip. The Kanoida, okay, so that much I just gave will have good. We can use it in the next line. Kanoida Siras Mitzayim de Leumas de Pchisa Mitzayim Gvodim Gdoshik Mach Kosam Makamach. Says in Chassidus, how do we reach Mitzayim Gvodim Leumas? I mean, such limitations on the Likus, that's Mamash Leumas that contradict godliness. It starts in Mitzvah Megvul Kedusha because you have to water down. That's probably the good way to say it. because they have to water down the message, so the makabel should handle it. So that can be like a slippery slope. They should get the wrong message before. So that is one way. That is one way that the clippers get the. That's what he said. Because it's Adam, because the Gilil Likus is in the way of Adam, is limited. Like I used the motion before, watered down. It's not in the full strength, limited according to the Makabel. So it can go so low that it can get the opposite message. That is one way. That's what he said earlier. That I said earlier, the marshal of Shmamis. But here he brings a different way to express this concept. I bring the marshal be'echle melech, that the echel, the possible be'echle melech is the echel because it's so echel melech. So the insect is not there for small. Get the food and sustenance there. But here now, it brings a different point. It's the doctor see this in the memoriam of the Maimah Mizmor Shir Chazabais, and get the Torah Parshas Bracha. There's a famous, and also in Maim Rabin Tov Shlam Tov in the beginning, famous 3 stages of the way person, the human experience. Because Mozen Levusha Bais, in order for a person to live a normal life, he has to have food, he has to have clothing, and he has to have a house. So these 3 stages, Chassidus calls it pnimi. Mozen is pnimi. Food is something that we digest, internalize, and levush is makif, but it's makif hakorev. It's a type of makif that it's stuck. We don't digest the clothing, but it fits us. That's to be sewn according to the size of the person who wears it. What can buy is a house. It's a gold makif. That's what Chassidus does always. Now he uses this muscle for a different point. The difference between levush and bayis, the way it's a muscle, it's a source for clipper. So in our marshal here, so the difference in levush and eichel, levush and bayis is similar to the difference in soivev kol almin and what he calls here atznos. So better the language on our emshach is ilach and dilach. Why? So this explains. The eichel davar amastik be'efsek gomo shel ikonis davar zel klal. A house protects you totally from any. It's an interesting. The house has the power to protect you from any intruder. So you can. So the intruder doesn't even have any way to touch you, to get any any connection. And achism is in the sense that he gets something out of you. But clothing, which is fits according to you, so it's more limited, so it could be affected. And for that, it brings the Maimah Chazal, which Maimah Chazal B'Ochel Davav Amud Aleph says something, a radical statement in Chazal. Anemanu, the Rabbanan the Boli. Why do we see the Gemara says it's a very simple question? When it's said like this, when a person works in the field, the person does manual labor, we understand why his clothing gets rubbed out and gets overused and not usable anymore. What about Rabbana? People who sit alone all day, why does their clothing also get rubbed out? It's an interesting question. The Gemara says, but the answer is even better. The answer is Michfupe Didu. That comes in the shading. That's as I stated in Gemara. One second, let me, some reason. We also actually had this Maimah Chazal, one of my more we learned in our terrace, I think. One second, but let me see. Yeah, mechupia didu. What does chupia mean? Chupia means okay. This Gemara over there, the Gemara in Brachos but talks about the shading. And one of the expressions is, like we just said, I'm reading Steinsaltz's translation in Hebrew, just the it says like this. I'm wondering about oisem big de hachamim abolim michupi didu michikucham shalahem shalamazikim in bolim. Like I said, שהרי אין חכמים עסוקים במלאכה גרמז לבליעס הבגדים, שמה יסבלו? That's from the shading. As I state in Gemara though. Now, Chassidus talks about it in a more, in Gemara, the terminology is shading, which is a sugil atzma. We understand what is the meaning, what does shading mean, etc. But Chassidus uses the more. It's not Chassidus. It's not shading. It means koiches a klip.
What means the in pshat?
What?
They are old. That is bolu. Bolu means that they they are surism, right?
Yeah.
So where did you see that Morei de Rabbanon is bolu?
Where do you see it? Hey, see, look at yourself too, and you'll see. I mean, we see it. The people's when they wear the same clothing for a very long time, it gets so easy. Okay, it's an interesting observation, but the point is that Chassidus takes that Maimar Hazal and looks at it from a more as a mashal. It's a spiritual concept. Moned Rabbanan means the levushim. Levushim means the avodas Hashem, which is a way of makif. So the avodas Hashem as makif could be affected by the shading, which means by the klippos. That is concept we just said before. Which means that even though it's levushi a mitzvah, it's levushim. It doesn't mean like the way Chassidus reads it. It don't talk about. It's not doesn't contradict the pshat, but we're not talking about the pshat now. Levushim means in the nimshal, in the content, means that level of that spiritual level of chachamim, which is called levushim, which is really a higher level of a higher way of connecting to holiness, which is called levush. Levush means in a positive way, like makif, what we call the aura, the overwhelming spiritual excitement. That's really what levushim is, and that he says bolu. First of all, it tears, and why is it tear? Because the shading, which means the klippos, have an effect on it. That's what it says earlier. So, like I said, usually the explanation of Chassidus why is that's again. I'm going back to my original mashal from Shmamis V'Daim to Tapis. Because that experience. I think I once bought this. It's a radical mashal. But I think we can use it just to understand what he's saying. That sometimes a person gets very inspired, right? He's like Chassidus brings the mashal. Now I'm also that you come to a daven in a minyan, you sit next to someone who's there, or you come to Farbrengen. So there's the actual pneumistic effect of Farbrengen as any, but also there's the general idea. This like sit by Farbrengen among people, and it has a very positive effect on you, Gdusha. But it has a unique chitzayim. Why? We can say a few things. The person, first of all, the very simple thing, we give him a sense of gaive, give him a sense of dismissing of others. So there is a certain when a person is in a very high state of spirit, not just the others. You can say it doesn't matter. Like like medakdek and halacha doesn't matter anymore because I'm like, I have this great feeling, like the Yehudi Balev, he's so connected to, he has this feels this great spiritual experience that details don't matter to him. It doesn't matter if it is medakdek and praise the halacha, kashrus, muktzah, whatever. It's another mashal. I think that's also not a bad mashal. That makif, when the experience is makif, so that by the way, in this case, pnimi is better than makif. Pnimi is another chison because sometimes, like we said earlier, bothers down. But makif is the chison. The person is overwhelmed by the great excitement that we have a similar experience here and now in our own community. Tisha is in the world, everybody's excited, which is a very positive experience. But in a way, that can cause a person to be a little lax in paying attention to detail, right? So that is a marshal and the concept that levush makib yachli es achiza, because he's so overwhelmed by the big picture, by the great spiritual excitement that could. I mean, obviously, we do everything in our power. It should not happen. And number one, number two, it doesn't mean that it's a bad experience. It's very good. The inspiration is a positive thing, but everything has to be controlled properly. If it's not given the proper control, it can have a negative effect. Person says, "I'm so inspired. It doesn't matter to me. Shkia is not shkia. In 5 minutes, I'm like excited." So, in other words, this is like a marshal hamakif, something which is very inspirational, can never achiza. But he goes more in now. He goes into a different way of looking at it, which is really doesn't contradict it. It's just another illustration. What is I just said it in the general terms, but now he goes into more details. What is mana de Rabbanan? What is really the levushim of Rabbanan? The spiritual levush. What is the spiritual program? Mitzvah Teresh Bal Peh. I'm sorry, Teresh Bal Peh is the eichel. The levush and eichel of Rabbanan is the fact that they do mitzvahs and the fact they learn Torah. Teresh Bal Peh nekabayis mitzvah levush. So what he says here, the okay, I bought a marshal from general inspiration, which is a marshal makif, some grand experience, like a Fabrengen or some other very inspiring event. But here's the marshal an example, which is something we can really, I think it's something we can relate to. But even the marshal from Becham mitzvahs, mitzvahs also yachal is achiza. What's the achiza? Okay, it's not. It says achiza. Marshal person says he's so excited. He has such a beautiful essay. He has a beautiful feeling, and he's so overwhelmed by his. So that itself also can give him, if he doesn't direct it properly, it could give him a negative effect. First of all, the number one is the guy, like says, "Wow, I have the best essay in town," or some other knowledge like that, which means it can look at it, it can take it the wrong way. It's a positive thing. Hiddur mitzvah essay is a beautiful thing, but the question is how it has the possibility, if you don't direct right, it can have an achiza. It can create the opposite view. You look down at the person next to you whose essay is not so nice or something. It's an example. So by mail, it's a mitzvahs, yochel is achiza. Yeah, we learned it in another Maimar also. So how do you prevent? Like I said, we need prevention. We need to make sure that this big excitement, the makif mitzvah, should not have a negative effect. What is the solution? Solution is Teresh Bal Peh, which means basically when Teresh Bal Peh is like the guide. It constantly keeps you in place, keeps you in what's the word? You should not keeps you in the proper path. You shouldn't veer off the path.
Keeps you in line.
What?
Keeps you in line.
Keeps you in line, right? So Teresh Bal Peh tells you, yes, it's a great thing you did, but don't forget Don't make that your. The person is only busy with mitzvahs and he doesn't learn enough Torah. Torah is the guy that tells us how to experience the mitzvahs. It shouldn't bring feelings of gaiva and kas and all other types of negative expressions. So that's how we need to Shabbat Peh. Shomer is the Mishnah. But I just said, I just don't tell you to clarify. I just gave like Meshalim and illustrations, which I just gave illustrations, which I believe they're probably true, but that's not what it says in the Maimah. It's a dogma. I gave a dogma how we can understand what it says in the Maimah. The Maimah says something spiritual, which on the face of it is which I can't really, but it tells us a fact that mitzvahs, the makif of mitzvahs is compared to levush, the male clip as an achiza, but the makif Shabbat Peh is compared to heichal, which doesn't have an achiza. So that's a fact. That's what it says in the sources. That's what Torah tells us. So as is the inyan. What I said, that's not direct shot in the what we learn. I just gave it. I'm trying to illustrate it how we can have a grasp of what it's talking about. So I just want you to not think that I said that is shot in the mind. That's in the person who does a mitzvah guy, but that's not. It doesn't say that in my mind. I'm just trying to guess one of the ways that manifests itself. Holofin, then he brings another Gemara to prove
what
this
does
point.
it mean practically that Torah Shabbat Peh is watching you?
What?
How is Torah Shabbat Peh different from a mitzvah? Lamaisa,
Very simple. Because Torah Shabbat Peh tells you, mitzvahs, you do the mitzvah. Torah Shabbat Peh doesn't mean just that halacha ilchas tefillin, ilchas muktzah. Torah Shabbat Peh, the whole the person is busy learning Torah Shabbat Peh tells them what the truth is, that he should not, like I said, not go off the path. That even when he does a mitzvah, he should do it in the proper way. It shouldn't take him to the wrong direction. I think that's pshat.
I guess that Torah Shabbat is not included because that's higher than.
Yeah, but Torah Shabbat is something that we don't really know. It says we don't even know what it means. Torah Shabbat is higher. He doesn't talk about it here. Torah Shabbat is a different point. But Shomer is a Mishnah, the halachas of Torah Shabbat Peh that keeps us on the path. You know, when I eat, it's that's the real life. Everything we do, everything we do from the morning till night, it's directed what we learn in Torah Shabbat Peh. A person that says Lo Yamaoretz Chosid. If a person would do all the mitzvahs, he'll do every mitzvah. But if he's a ma'oret, he cannot be a chosid, which chosid means a mahadar b'mitzvahs. Why? Because it is lacking that guide of the Torah. The Torah tells him when not just what halacha is right, but even when he does the halacha, he should do it to the proper. It should not have a negative effect. It should not have a chizna. So that's one way to understand it. But then he brings another Gemara in Saita. It's an interesting Gemara. The Gemara says, Torah has a special school, a special quality that it protects you and it saves you even when you don't learn. The person whose mind is occupied with Torah, so even when he doesn't, even when he stops learning, at that point, it maginim in isurim. It protects him from isurim, from pain. Umatzam in achet. Torah protects him from the chet because when the person is busy learning Torah, and that's not learning. His mind is overwhelmed by. Not just overwhelmed. It's totally infused with Torah value, what we call Torah values. Torah, so that prevents him from the chet. Mitzvah, but the Gemara says, mitzvah rak beidna da'asik bo. So it says the different Torah and mitzvah. Mitzvah, the effect, it's a different illustration, a different mitzvah than Torah. Mitzvah, the effect of mitzvah on the person is only when he does it. When he does the mitzvah, he's right at this point, right now, he's executing, practicing Ratzon Hashem. So that when he does that, so the mitzvah Geras mitzvah, it doesn't let him do Averis, and even Megina Menai Surim. But the minute he stopped doing the mitzvah, it's over. Torah, says the Gemara, even the lawyer sigbo, because Torah has a more global effect on his personality. It changes the person. So that's another way that is in Torah and mitzvahs. Then he said, Rabba, that the Gemara and Satan. But the Rabba, the Amira Rabba, that we know from Tanya, from the first page in Tanya, what does he say? He says, even Torah, say the Torah Gamkin Rak Bein Dasigwa, Oz Megiddo Matzla. He says there's another difference in Torah and mitzvahs. The first Amira says that Torah is being the loya sigwa Megiddo Matzla, mitzvah only being the dasig. Rabbi says a different way. The Torah Gamkin Rak Bein Dasigwa. Torah is also protecting the person who learns it only when he learns. But what? Megiddo v'loy matzla. I'm sorry, what does it say? A mitzvah gam b'meidna da'asik v'megiddo v'loy matzla. According to Rabba, even when the person does a mitzvah, while he's doing the mitzvah, it's a megiddo, it protects him from his surim, but it doesn't prevent him from doing averis. Again, there's the pshat view. Rabba and the other Amira disagree here, but there's a conceptual message here. What effect does doing a mitzvah have on the person? What effect Torah has on the person? So according to both of them, Torah has a stronger effect. There's a difference, the level of the effect. So we see from this Gemara, according to both shittas, that Torah has a stronger effect on the person, on the idol.
Idna means what? The word idna?
What? Be'idna, the time, be'eis. Be'idna, the asik, the time when you learn. So we see from this Gemara also that Torah has an advantage over mitzvah. Then there's another expression in the same Gemara in Sota. Avera mechaba mitzvah ve'ein avera mechaba Torah. So he brought a few, so that's another point. That when the person does a mitzvah and then he does avera, the Gemara says that the avera extinguishes the energy that mitzvah created. Mechaba. It's like mechaba the nail. But ein avera mechaba Torah. When the person learns Torah, even if he doesn't have avera, the avera does not have that effect in Torah. So in this Chazal, we also see the same concept. A Torah is stronger than mitzvahs. V'hainu. So that's the same point we just made. So from all these sources, he brought like a few sources. Number one, the source from Anem, Mana, Darabon, and the Bol. Then he said that the Tershua it needs to be Shmir of Tershua. Then he brings the Gemara of Megiddo Matzla. He brings the Gemara of Avera Mechaba Mitzvah. So from all these sources, we derive the B'chinas Ayer Makiv Al Nimshach Adei Mitzvahs. Yochel is Achiza. There could be Achiza Chitzainim, but really cannot extricate the person from being controlled by Klippas. Controlled or ruled or even affected by Klippas. But Mele Iyashali say Hayitzia de Pnei Madrigazu. We talk about Yitzias Mitzrayim. When they get out of that stage, so the Sayim, which is Me'er to Mitzvah, is not enough to extricate us, take us out of that state of being, of the clip of being Meshukan and Tes Shari Tumah. Ki'im Pnes Atzvah and Sof Shal Ma'agam Pnes Sayim Klau. So it's only, all right. Okay. Good answer, Shana Taiva.
Good answer.
יום טוב, שנה טוב, דלתי החסות, חסות תקוטו, חסות.
Yontif.
Yom Tov.